Let's talk about autoimmunity during and after pregnancy and what can you do about it if you aren't carnivore. Welcome back to my channel. When I got pregnant with my first son, I had full-blown rheumatoid arthritis at least for 3 years. I wasn't taking any medication, I was just dealing with pain. Pretty much all the joints of my arms were affected and also my feet and my toes. And so when I got pregnant, on top of that, I was dealing with lots of nausea, pretty much 24/7. So it was really rough in the first trimester because I was in so much pain in my joints, and then I was dealing with nausea. However, at about 8 weeks, the joint pain slowly started going away, and by week 15 of pregnancy, I was completely joint pain free, and also my nausea, thank God, went away. And so I thought to myself that my rheumatoid arthritis was in the remission, but was it really? Now that I know, no, it wasn't. Here's what happened. You will be often told while pregnant that your immune system is suppressed or impaired, and I don't think this is a correct framing. I think it is much more appropriate to say that the pregnant women's immune system gets modulated to accommodate for the developing fetus. So by some odd chance, our immune system doesn't get any ideas to fight the fetus. And by the same mechanism, if you happen to have an autoimmune condition, if you have those antibodies circulating in your bloodstream that normally, let's say, would attack your joint tissue, they are being instructed to stand by and let this gluten protein just go by and not react to it. And this is really wise by Mother Nature because it allows the fetus, the baby, to really develop without being attacked by mother's immune system. So it is important to understand that it is not that your body is going into remission, which would mean that you stop producing the antibodies. The antibodies are there, they're still circulating in your blood, but they just don't react. Now that is important because your child too is exposed to those antibodies, and its immune system may actually learn to make those antibodies or to remember the process of reacting, let's say, to dairy or gluten protein. But as Dr. Natasha Campbell-McBride puts it in her book, Gut and Physiology Syndrome, it is like a book that your child's immune system pulls out of the library, and if you don't trigger it, that book will be filed back where it belongs, and your child's immune system does not have to necessarily react. So keep that in mind because I will come back to this mechanism in the solution part of the video. So after I gave birth to my first son, I was still symptoms free for about 2 months, and then all at once, one morning I woke up and all my joints on fire, cannot walk. I had to hold on to the wall in order to make it to the bathroom, and so my rheumatoid arthritis was back just as it was before I got pregnant. It really sucked because that break from rheumatoid arthritis was phenomenal, but at the same time it motivated me to find real solutions. So when I was done with breastfeeding, I was toying with the idea of going on the carnivore diet, but I had such a massive cognitive dissonance that this could actually help me, that it really took me 6 months to agree, okay, I'm gonna do this diet. So finally I decided to do it, and I went with a paleo-ketogenic diet protocol, which turned out to be so phenomenal because it took about 10 days to see major improvements in my joint pain. I would say about 80% of all my symptoms were gone by day 10. When I got pregnant with my second son, I was already 2 years into the carnivore diet, so getting pregnant was super easy. When I did my blood work, my inflammatory markers were all in normal range, so you wouldn't be even able to tell if I had autoimmunity from my blood work, which was really great news. I did have to modify my diet because my body could not stand the idea of being in ketosis. As soon as I got pregnant, my body said hard no to ketosis. So I tried adding some honey, but I had such a terrible aversion to honey in the first trimester that I ended up bringing back fruit. And so I was eating about 80%, sometimes 85% of my daily calories from animal sources, and then 15 to 20% was from fruit, and sometimes I would add sweet potato. And in the second trimester, I really started craving dairy. And I was afraid to eat it because prior to being pregnant, I had such a bad reaction to dairy. But I ended up eating feta cheese, which is made from sheep's milk. And then I was taking my son's A2 milk, and I would make a raw yogurt, and that was fine too. Well, I thought that would be the safest way of eating dairy. Obviously, my immune system was modified for the needs of the pregnancy, so probably even if I ate all the bad foods that would give me reactions in my joints, probably I wouldn't notice it in my pregnancy, but I just didn't want to rile up my immune system and produce those antibodies so that my child can get the information as well. So I was really careful not to eat too much dairy, although I was really craving it. And so after I gave birth to my second son, I continued enjoying dairy, although I didn't eat a lot of it. Mostly I would finish my first son breakfast that would have about a teaspoon of ricotta cheese in it on his omelette. But exactly 8 weeks into it, it was enough. One morning I woke up having this puffy feeling in my joints and in the joints of my feet. And it wasn't quite the arthritic pain. It wasn't painful at all. It just felt like my joints were puffy. That's the best I can describe it. And that feeling was familiar, and I was like, that's it, no more dairy, not even a little bit. At the same time too, my son started developing baby eczema on his cheeks. And 2 weeks later, my son's eczema went away, and my puffiness was gone in about 2 days after I cut out dairy. So yeah, the immune system yet again started getting activated exactly 2 months postpartum. So if you are watching this, you are pregnant and have autoimmunity, you are probably wondering, should I be getting on the carnivore diet? And I personally wouldn't do it if I weren't carnivore prior to being pregnant. Definitely talk to your doctor, get their opinion. But the common sense dictates, don't start anything new while you are pregnant if you weren't doing it before being pregnant. That goes for exercise or any diet. But there are things you can do to minimize the inflammatory processes in your body, even if you are pregnant. So you don't have to be on the carnivore diet to greatly reduce the inflammatory processes in your body. The first thing you can do, and probably the easiest one, is to get rid of everything that has gluten in it. So cut out all grains, perhaps maybe except for rice. A lot of people can tolerate it even if they have gluten intolerance. But just play with it and see how your body responds. The second food group to eliminate or greatly reduce would be dairy. And if you really want to eat dairy, sheep's milk and sheep's cheeses are the best. And if you can get your hands on a raw A2 milk, that would be the best. And if you're gonna ferment it yourself. Don't buy a store yogurt. It has a very minimal nutritional value, and it is likely to give you inflammatory reactions. You can replace all the seed oils, including olive oil and coconut oil, with saturated animal fats, things like tallow, lard, butter, ghee butter. These are all fantastic options and are so good for your developing baby. It is a mainstream belief that those green juices, especially those that have celery and kale, are great for our health and are great at detoxing, but this isn't something you should be doing while pregnant. And I hate to break it to you, green juices aren't the healthiest thing you can have. Instead, if you want to have that type of micronutrients in your diet, try some liver. Either cook it or have it raw. You can cut it up into pieces, freeze it, and then just eat it while half frozen. It is a great multivitamin. Carnivore or not, if you are pregnant, it is really important that you eat a diet that is rich in animal foods and that you reduce foods that cause inflammation. If you've gone into pregnancy with history of autoimmunity, you may experience the so-called remission, but your body still has the memory of how to make those antibodies, and those antibodies will be circulating in your blood. They will be just told for the duration of pregnancy to stand down, but they're there. So you can control amount of inflammation in your body, whether you experience it or not in pregnancy, by eating low inflammation diet. Alright, this will do it for this week's video. If you haven't yet, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!